right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you have your cameras on. How you doing? Cameras on, please. Cameras, please, everybody. We only have 4 people with cameras on, 5 people, 1 of them walking around. I got everything. Oh, this is going to be a tough Friday, I see. I got, let's see, I got Lula. Ahmed, I see you. Denise is sitting down for the next 5 minutes. We have Joel, Tina, Nadia, Yella. Britney's on. All right. With light. That's a miracle. All right. Now tell Kieran to get out of there. All right, next. Terrible. Got Francesca. Francesca, I got your message. I'll reply right after, okay? Kimberly, make sure your camera is on, please, so it counts towards your hours. Guys, remove any distractions you might have next to you. Now on a serious note, as of today, we're going to be halfway through the course. For some of you, we're already finished. You're just making up the hours, and it gets tougher and tougher. Just saying. All right, so make sure you're paying attention. Whose B-Day was it today? Oh, I see you printed that stuff. Awesome. Good job, Nadia. All right, whose B-Day was it today? It was Diana, and she's not here. She took the day off, I guess. All right. We got some people watching on YouTube. Let me know if you have any questions before we start regarding the previous chapters. Brittany, just close the door. Don't tell him to be quiet. Just close the door on him. Lock him somewhere. Fine. Tell him he already passed. You need to pass now. Tell him that. Okay? That's it. Otherwise, he's fired. Simple. Ahmed, no questions? You just wanted to know about whose B-Day was? No questions at all? Not coming through? Okay. You had like 10 minutes, man. 10 minutes to drop questions. All right, let's see. Tina, on my phone, but moving to my computer shortly. Okay, no problem. The baby took your 10 minutes. Okay, no problem. That's your question? You just have one question? Oh, okay. All right, so the question is, running a credit application happens during qualifying or when the broker gets involved? Okay, that's a great question. We have a chapter 17 for mortgages and financing, so we're going to talk about it there more in detail. And that chapter, so you guys know, it's going to be 2 days, split into 2 days. So 17 part 1 and 2, and then 17 part 3 and 4. It's not that long of a chapter, but it's one of those chapters I want to make sure you guys fully understand the details of it. So in my previous book that I was using, it was chapter 13, 14, and 15. So it was 3 chapters that here they combine it into one. All right. So running a credit application, that happens when qualifying or when the broker gets involved. The question is, and I think by now everybody should have understood this. The question is, when does the broker get involved? The broker never gets involved. You do. If you don't have experience, then you ask your broker for help, but the broker doesn't get involved. You are the one that negotiates everything. So, to rephrase your question is, when does a credit application start? Is it when you talk to a potential buyer, right? You, not the broker, or does it happen during the qualification stages? The question now is, which qualification stages, right? See, what you need to know is, let's say you're the buyer, right? Ahmed, you're the buyer. And you come to me and say, Bruno, I want to buy a house. Like, great. Do you know how much money you got? Do you know how much you qualify for? Can you afford a house? And what type of house are we looking for, right? All these questions are like pre-qualifying questions, which then lead to another question, which is, have you sat down with any mortgage loan officer that could potentially help you with the financing? You understand? So we do like a pre-qualification, right, of the client or customer as to figure out what is their motivation, right? And where do they stand right now? If they're ready and willing, right? And then let's figure out if you're able. That's when we bring you to the mortgage loan officer. But I don't do anything with you, me personally. I don't, and you can call me maybe arrogant in this sense, but I don't do anything until I know if you got the money. Meaning, until I know if you're pre-approved. Okay? So if you come to me and say, I want to buy, great, show me the money. Simple. It's what I was saying the other day, that you don't go to a restaurant and you just say, hey, any, meeny, miny, mo, this restaurant, right? And all of a sudden it's a 5-star restaurant. It's like $1,000 for 2 people, right? And you realize you got $2 in your pocket. You see how you're going to feel about it? Imagine I show you 100 houses, and this is what I tell my clients. Imagine I show you 100 houses. You find the one, after the extensive search, you find the one that you fell in love with, and it's $500,000, but you only qualify for $250. Right? I'm not trying to insult you in any way. I bet that you might qualify for $500, but because I'm not the loan officer and I'm not the professional in that field, we should sit down with the loan officer to tell us exactly how much house you can afford. And that's where the credit application would start. Does that make sense? So we pre-qualify their motivation, right? And then the ability to buy, we bring to a loan officer right after. And once we have the pre-qualification, the pre-approval, once we have that, now we're putting offers. Now we're acting as agents. Now we're ready to help them buy and then make some money in the process. Yep. So right fit the buyer first. Yep. Make sure they're ready. Okay. All right. We have here more questions from Tina. Okay, so this question is what I answered Joel. That's how we ended yesterday. He was asking about this. Are you allowed to sell your own house? Right, he was talking about buying. He was talking about selling. Do you still get a commission? Right, same thing. Also, when you buy a house, can you do it yourself, or you still need an agent? So to address these in one simple way, Tina, we can buy or sell without a license. If it's our own home, we don't need a license. Okay? What I was telling you as a licensee, buying, not selling, but buying at least, as a licensee, you have great advantages because you can use your commission as towards the down payment or towards the closing costs. You got it? You understand? So can you buy as an agent your own house? Yes. And use the commission towards that. Do you need to buy it as an agent, or do you need to buy it through your brokerage? No. Do you need to sell through your brokerage? No. Right? You can do a for sale by owner. That's it. You can do a for sale by owner, not a problem. But if you're going to put on the MLS, if you want to, let's say on the sales side, if you want to advertise your property and expose your property to everybody, then do it as an agent, and you will get to you're going to have to pay commission, right? But then you negotiate with your broker, whatever it is. You're going to have to pay commission. but at least you have the exposure. So you're paying for that exposure. Do you need it? No. Can you? Yes. Should you? Yes. Okay. Thumbs up on that? Great. All right. Any other questions? All right. So hopefully everybody listens. Just gonna say one more time, and then it's the last time I'm gonna repeat this. Having your camera on does not give you the hours. Okay? Having the camera on does not give you the hours. Having the camera on and being in front of the camera and paying attention and interacting gives you the hours. So if you're just watching or just listening, I'm sorry, it does not give you the hours. Okay? So Britney has nothing to do with your message. It's something separate. Just to let you know. But I'm telling you guys, having the camera on is not what's going to give you the hours. For that, I would have just give you the class replay and go ahead pass the exam. State of New Jersey, for instance, and there's 9 states that require presence and participation. It's not a self-study. All right, so you have to be present, you have to ask questions, you have to participate. So I'm watching you, right? And I ask you questions and I mess with you to make sure you guys are here with me. Does that make sense? I try to make you feel as if you were here, because I know for most people being in front of a screen for 4 hours, like it's dreading. Like it's like, oh my God, can we please do something else now? Right? I totally understand. For me, it is as well, because I'm looking at a TV with a bunch of faces and a camera, and I'm here waving my arms, and my business partner looks at me. There's a security camera right on top, so he looks at me waving the arms at the air, and nobody else here, so he thinks I'm crazy. Anyway, it's as boring for me and challenging for me as it is for you. Okay, so I'm trying to make the best out of it by interacting, right, and making sure I address everybody's concerns, questions, make this as fun as possible, even with some corny jokes once in a while, right? But try to get you to push through and understand the material. So all I ask from you is that you participate by being in front of the camera at least, right? And at least nodding your head or giving me thumbs up when I ask you. That means that you're there or you're listening, right? At least that, right? If the camera is just on and you're somewhere else or you're talking to other people, it does not count towards your hours, right? So that was the announcement of the day. Hopefully I won't have to say it again. It's like trying to talk to my kids. Don't do this, don't do that, and they do exactly what I tell them not to do, right? Just the adult versions. That's the difference. All right, you are my children, just saying. All right, so if there are no questions, we're going to talk about contracts, and then we're going to talk about markets. These are 2 not so long chapters. This one's 12 pages, the other one's 10 pages. They're not so long chapters. We already talked about contracts, so a lot of stuff here is going to be repetition as well. And I think that's where this book works better than the Dearborn version that I had. In that sense, this book is way better, right? Because it has that repetition. And I always do the same. I bring stuff from chapter 1 into chapter 14, from chapter 3 into chapter 5. And I always go back and forth so you guys don't lose, as you guys can tell so far, right? You don't lose the information that was given to you in the first week, right? So this, a lot of repetition. You guys know most of this stuff, so it should be easy to go through, right? So overview of conveyance contracts. So my first question, I'm sure you guessed it already. I was going to ask you this, right? My first question is, what is this word? That's the first question. What is this word? Joel was ready. Right? I didn't even ask the question. It's like, transfer. Yep, got it. Daniela, please don't yell at me. I don't like when people yell. I think this is very rude when people yell. Right there. Don't or Lula. What's the tie? Tie. What is that? Just messing with you. Transfer of title. Got it. Transfer of title. Um, we can come up with our own words. Makes it sound fancier. Instead of title is the hey, we're transferring the titule. That's it. It works. It's for high-end people. All right. So transfer. When we're talking about conveyance, we are talking about transfer. Very good. Transfer. So these are transfer contracts. Now, under transfer contracts, we're going to talk about contract for sale. Sorry, contract for sale. We're going to talk about the legal characteristics, and you guys already know these. How do we create the contract? Most of you already know we create the contract by filling out standard forms. In some states, they allow you to recreate the whole contract to a certain extent as well. We're going to talk about earnest money escrow, or also called good faith deposit. Okay. We're going to talk about contract contingencies or conditions. Contingencies or conditions. We're going to talk about those. And we're going to talk about default. And another word for default is breach of contract. Again, all these were addressed already. We're going to talk about the basics of contracts. It's just that now we're going to talk about conveyance. So contracts for transfer specifically. All right, so a real estate sales contract is binding and enforceable agreement wherein the buyer, the vendee, agrees to buy an identified parcel of real estate, and the seller, the vendor, agrees to sell it under certain terms and conditions. It is the document that is at the center of the transaction. Now, the conventional transfer of real estate ownership takes place in 3 stages. The first, there's the negotiating period, is where the buyers and sellers exchange offers, so offer, counter offer, and go back and forth, right? In an effort to agree to all the terms that will appear in the sale contract. Second, both parties accept the terms. So now the property becomes a sales contract. So the offer becomes binding sales contract. So offer is a contract as soon as it's accepted. In most states, that's how it happens. Third is the closing. So we have the negotiation period, we have the under contract period, and the third stage is the closing or closed period. Okay. Now, at this stage, the third stage, the sales contract has served its purpose and terminates. There are other names for sales contract, and these are agreement for sale, contract for purchase, contract of purchase and sale, and earnest money contract. Don't forget, initially, this is the offer. All right? So other names for sale contract. It only becomes a sales contract after it's accepted. It becomes a sales contract after it's accepted. And it stops being a sales contract once we close. Okay? So once accepted, it's no longer an offer. It became a contract. Once we close, it's no longer a contract, right? Because it's done. The agreements set forth are executed. And that brings to this term, executory. You guys remember executory? Who remembers this word? Who can tell me what this means? Executory. There's 2 terms for contracts, executed and executory. What does it mean? If you're watching on YouTube, let me know as well. Put on the chat. So after titile, can anybody write down what it means? Executory. Okay. Mr. Badura says, yet to be complete. Okay. Brandon says, in the process of, yet to be complete. The process of. Anybody else? What's executory? There's executed, there's executory. The process of being executed. Got it. Process of closing on the house. Okay. Anybody else? Executory? Relating to. Okay. Nadia says action by at least one party for completion. Okay. I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. And by the way, there's no wrong answers. Right? During the learning stage, there's no wrong answers. So make sure you just throw whatever at me. It's fine. Not yet fully completed. Okay. Anybody else? Awaiting. Okay. Since the contract is there, yet to complete and sign the contract. Okay. Anybody else? Once? Twice? YouTubers, participate. The closing. Joel says closing and he leaves. I don't know if you're closing the session and left. Francesca says pending. Very good. No, it's okay. You don't have to come back. It's fine, Joel. I got you. He was closing the door. All right. So let's see here. YouTubers not participating. So we're going to go right here. And I'm going to tell you what it means. There's two terms for the contracts in terms of execution. One of them is executory. The other one is executed. This is pending. Executory is pending. Executed means done, finished, completed, closed. So there's two stages to a contract. There's two stages to a contract. There's the pending stage, when the offer was accepted and it's now under contract. This is the pending stage or executory. And then here is the closing. If we close, it became executed. Finished. Okay. So two stages to the contract. Okay, because remember, before it was an offer, right? After the offer is accepted, now it became under contract. So that means that it converted to contract. And during this period of time, it's executory because it's pending certain actions like the inspection, clearing title, approving of mortgage, and so on during that period of time. It could be 60 days, it could be 90 days, it could be 1 year, it could be 2 days. It all depends on how we laid the ground to this, right? So executory means pending certain action, while executed means we closed, we're done, we finished. For the seller means they sold, for the buyer means they bought, and for us means we made money. So we want every single contract to be executed. Okay? For it to be executed, it must start a process, and that process will be pending. So it's executory for that period of time. Ahmed, no limit to timeline for close. When I said 1 year, so for instance, if you're dealing with short sales, as an example, short sale is somebody's losing the home, or the house is not worth the value that you owe the bank. And we're going to talk about that better in a different chapter. But you're losing your home, and we have to negotiate with a third party. It's not just the buyer. The seller's negotiating with the buyer and the bank. So the bank is a third party involved to approve. So sometimes, especially back in the day, right after 2009, right in that beginning stage until 13, 14, during those years, short sales, the system was so clogged with foreclosures, short sales, loan modifications, and whatever, that yes, it would take a year, anywhere between 10 months to a year to close on the deal. Now it's not as much because there's not many short sales. The house values went up, so usually somebody in the today's day and age, right, should be able to sell the property at value at least, and still make a dollar or two on their property, right? There's very few compared to before. There's very few short sales, so transactions are faster. I don't know how it's going to be in the next 6 months, but as of right now, that's where we are. Okay. Hint, hint. Anyway, for those closely paying attention. All right. Enforceability criteria in the second page. How can we enforce a contract? If you guys remember, you're welcome. If you guys remember, to be valid, the contract must have 4 characteristics, right? One of them is both parties or all parties must be of sound mind, meaning they are aware of what's happening. It's their own free will. So sound mind and 18 years of age. So they're legal adults. So that goes into competent parties, right? Right here. And then there must be mutual consent. Maybe, Denise. We don't know. Mutual consent. That means we both agree to the terms. All parties agree to the terms that are laid out in the contract. There must be consideration, and that's money or exchange of value. And fourth is legal purpose. That means that this transaction does not violate any laws. We're doing it free voluntary act, and it's the transfer of real estate for genuine purposes, not for money laundering, not to do anything in the property that would go against public policy, and so on. Right? If it's for the transfer of real estate, you guys already know that it must be in writing. You must identify the principal parties, clearly identify the property by legal description, right? And I'm sure by now you guys remember what a legal description is, right? Who remembers legal descriptions? Raise your hand. Great. So the 3 of you are going to tell me what are the legal descriptions. Go ahead, I'll give you 1 each. Brandon, Joel, and Ahmed, since the other ones did not. What kind of answer is that? SW, etc., etc.? Go ahead. Go to the state exam and look for B. SW, etc., etc. That's the answer B, right? C is NE, etc., etc. So good luck with that one. That was a good one. So specific measurements of a property. Okay, but what are they? Only 1 person answered correctly so far. Got the meets and bounds and the willow tree. We have the meets and bounds, yes. That's one type of legal description, meets and bounds, yes. Okay. The SW, etc., etc., there's a term for it. Mr. Pacheco, there's a term for it. Remember, there's 3 types of legal descriptions. Meets and bounds. Come on, you can do it without research, Francesca, stop flipping the pages. Sure. What are the methods, though, of legal description? YouTubers, help out. Whoever's watching on YouTube Live, I see there's 1 person right now. No. Oh, Miss New York, look at this. I was an agent in New York. Excuse. I'm new to this. I missed it. Like, legal descriptions were like so dinosaur age. Not now. That's the legal descriptions back then. Today, we do real estate. Joel, thank you. Longitude and latitude, but what is it called? What is it called? I know, Nadia, I know. I'm just messing. Long time ago. Plus, he was New York. Like, different legal descriptions. Got it. All right, Miguel just joined us. Miguel, can you tell us? Shanice, can you tell us? Legal descriptions, come on. I'm not going to move forward until somebody tells me. We have meets and bounds. Clueless flipping pages. There you go. Even though I said specifically do not. Try to remember. Britney, what types of legal descriptions do you have? Ask Kieran. It's right next to you, so just ask him. You know. Oh, he left? You got rid of him? Good. Just for the class. Good. All right. Ooh, survey, Miguel. Survey. Legal descriptions are methods that will help a surveyor identify the property. Yes, a surveyor. But the legal descriptions are different in different areas of the country, and in some areas it's combined. We have the meets and bounds. Very good. Cheryl says, I can't recall. Okay. Look, there might be a question, the school or state exam, that says all of these are legal descriptions except. Most of the questions in the school or state exam are like this. All of these except. None of these except. Right? Stuff like that. Like, oh, Shanice, I'm glad you heard your name. Did you hear anything else? Friday. I'm mean. Maybe I should have given the day off since Diana's birthday. All right, block and lot. Great. You guys are giving me a lot of stuff, but that's not the name, though. Okay? That's not the name of it. The survey grids. Yes. What is it called? The longitude and latitude. Yes. What is it called? The townships. Yes. What is it called? Oh, getting there. Rectangular what? Rectangular survey method, or the government survey system. That's one of them, right? So meets and bounds, rectangular survey method, and then there's a third one missing that has to do with this right here, with Miguel's answer. What is that one called? We're getting there. Quadrangular. It's rectangle, not quadrangular, but good. There's one more missing, guys. It has to do with blocks and lots. It has to do with parcels, yes. All of these have to do with parcels, by the way, because a parcel is just the lot where the land is, the piece of land. That's a parcel of land. Oh man, description elevation, that's for condos. Condominiums is where we get elevation. Recorded plat of subdivision, not plot, plat, but close to, right here. Recorded plat of subdivision. So, what are the three methods, approved methods of legal description? Ready? Meets and bounds. Rectangular survey method or government survey system. Same thing. And plat of subdivision, recorded plat of subdivision. It has the blocks and lots. Right? Don't beat yourselves. It's okay. All right? You want to relax a little bit? Because some of you are probably feeling like, oh my God, I don't know anything. So let's relax a little bit. When I took the class, after being an investor for years, after flipping homes, after fixing, rehabbing, and so on, after dealing with so many contracts, I took the real estate class you guys are taking, right? So I knew it in and out, right? I knew mortgages in and out. Now sitting down in the class, knowing everything, and the instructor looked at me and says, Bruno, you know this one, so what is this? And I understand what you guys are going through, because I felt like a deer in the headlight. You guys ever seen a deer in the headlight? They literally just see the car coming and they stop. Right? I know that's how you guys feel. Like information's blank, like gone. Right? I totally understand that. Right? What's important about what I'm trying to do is to try to bring some type of recollection of what we discussed. All right, so you guys can realize that repetition is key, right? And when I say repetition, is not memorizing stuff, but repetition is go watch the replay. I had 2 students here that passed the exam on Saturday. They have the state exam tomorrow, and they just decided to come interview the realty. And one of the things they said is, Bruno, we joined the classes after, so during this past week, we joined the classes, and only during the second round of classes is when we realized, wow, that's what that meant, right? So the replays help, the asking questions help, the participation helps. That's what I'm trying to show you guys here by bringing stuff back and forth, all right? So I hope that helps. So legal description must be with every real estate contract. Plat of subdivision, plat or map of subdivision, okay? So it must contain the purchase price. So if it's sold for $300,000, it must state $300,000 and be signed by all principal parties. Now, you guys already know by now that the contract could be oral or written, right? We can verbally agree to something and make it a contract, shake hands, right? Right? And back in the day, my word is my bond. So it's like a promise, right? Back in the day, that's how it was. Nowadays, make sure you put it in writing if you want to enforce it, okay? So, oral agreements are valid. Oral agreements are valid, but written agreements are enforceable. You guys got it? Can we enforce an oral agreement, a verbal agreement? Can we? Yes. If we have clear and convincing evidence. It just becomes more difficult to prove something. Harder to enforce if it's not in writing. Assignments. What is an assignment? Is a transfer of rights, benefits, and liability to somebody else. So the easiest, yeah, Ahmed, you have to prove it. The easiest way to remember this, only because of you HGTV fans, one of the ways to remember this wholesaling, or the most common word for it, flipping contracts. Flipping contracts. So assignment is I put something under contract and I go like, can't buy it. Joel, do you want to take over? And we assign to Joel. Boom. Joel is now the one responsible for purchasing the property. And if you guys remember, we talked about assignments and subleasing, very similar, right? Assignment, if I flip the contract to you and you don't buy, Joel, we're both liable for it, all right? So I transfer the right to buy to you. If you buy, great, I have no liability. But if you fail to buy, I'm responsible still, okay? You're welcome. All right, next. Who can complete a contract? So a broker or agent may assist the buyer and seller in completing an offer to purchase, may assist, provided that the broker represents the client faithfully and does not charge a separate fee for the assistance. So we can charge for preparing a contract as part of our profession. It is advisable, Joel, I see you're typing something. It is advisable and legally required in most states for a broker to use a standard contract form promulgated by the state agencies. So what we're saying is you're not pretending to be a lawyer. You're just filling in the blanks in contracts that lawyers have prepared. And it was accepted as a nice standard for 1 to standard for 1 to 4 family or residential contracts. No, Joel, I promise. I know you're learning from Shanice. I promise this is water. On Friday. Yep. I just forgot what I had put the bottle before. Don't worry, if I start a little later, you know what it is, okay? But I promise it's water. I don't drink on Fridays evenings. Next. Offer and acceptance. You guys already know this. Offer and acceptance. I put an offer, you accept, great. If not, then there's a counter offer, and we go back and forth. We talked about equitable title. There's equitable title and there's legal title. You guys remember that? Equitable title, legal title. Anybody? Okay, great. So equitable title means you put some money into something. Now you have equity, you have value in the property. So when I put $1,000 as a commitment to a contract, like a good faith deposit, right? Earnest money or a good faith deposit, when I put the $1,000 and you accept the contract, I have equity in the property. I have monetary value into the property. I'm not the legal owner, but you can no longer sell the property to anybody else until our contract is over. So I don't have legal title, meaning my name is not on the deed or on the title, right? But I have equity into the house. Therefore, you cannot sell until I give up. You understand? And that's what allows us to do the assignments as well. Because I put money into it, I made a monetary commitment to it, equitable commitment to it. You cannot sell without me. So I can flip the contract as long as the clause that's there regarding assignments allows me to. I have the right to sell. That's what clears people from not having a real estate license, right? Because the contract is mine. So I'm going to put an offer and $1,000. It's not my house, right? I just put $1,000 into it. If you accept, then I've bound your property to be mine during the executory period. I cannot occupy and I cannot sell the property. I cannot use the property. But you cannot sell the property either because I have a legal contract that says I'm the buyer. Unless I give up or we agree to cancel it, this property will be mine. So I have some power into it. It clouds the title. It allows me to enforce my rights onto the property. So I can grab this piece of paper and say, well, I'm not buying anymore, but I found Brandon. I said Joel before, but I found Brandon. I said, Brandon, hey, I got this great deal. Would you like to take over? Give me $1,000 and I'll release this paper to you. I assign this paper to you. And that's what wholesaling pretty much is I put an offer, you accept it, and then I give it to Brandon to buy from you, and I get paid in the process. Now, sounds a lot like being a realtor, right? But this paper, the offer being accepted became a contract. This paper and that $1, $1,000, $10,000, whatever money you put in, is what allows people to do the realtor's job without being a realtor. You know why? Because you're buying it. You're becoming part of the transaction. Remember, for you to be to get paid in a transaction as a realtor or as a salesperson, it means that you're handling this for a third party, meaning you're helping a seller or you're helping a buyer, correct? But if you prepared the contract as a buyer, right, then you're part of the transaction. Being part of the transaction, you can wholesale or flip contracts because it's your contract. It's your piece of paper that you're selling or transferring. No license is needed. You're selling your own property. This is considered personal property, by the way. The house is real property, but the contract is personal property that I'm selling. So that's what allows you, subject to a few regulations, but that's what allows you to flip a contract. Okay? It's not a second mortgage, Lula. It's an interest. So the second thing you wrote there, it's an interest, benefit, right, or claim that somebody has in the property. Yes. So I don't have ownership, but I have an interest or right in the property. That's what a equitable title does. It gives me an interest in the property. Can you do that in a short sale? You can do that in anything. Anything, as long as the parties accept. So the buyer, the one that's buying from you, accepts, and the seller has no problem with that. Why not? You can do that with everything. You can go to a sheriff's sale, put a property in the contract, and flip the contract to a potential buyer. I saw him take notes. Ahmed just went like, "Oh, let me write that one down." All right. This is not an investment course, so I'm just giving you a heads up, okay? All right, next. Oh, hold on. Questions. If a property appraised for 507, but the contract says both parties agreed to sell for 502, the 5K difference is equity. That is correct. All right, but that's not what gives you the equitable title. Equity means value, right? Equity means value. So if I put an offer and I put $1,000 into it as an example, then I have value in the property, so I have interest in the property. Okay, so for this purposes, equitable title is I have some type of interest or valuable interest in the property. But yes, equity is the difference between the value and the purchase price, or the value and the balance of the loan. That will be equity. Joel, can I make that in New Jersey? You can. Again, just follow the laws though. Jersey's a weird animal, so just letting you know right now that in terms of laws, we're weird. Okay? Just in terms of laws, nothing else. Tina, is this like just from one statement or two statements, is this the one where I've gotten the most questions so far? Right? It sounds like it. Like people are like, oh, I like this topic. Let me ask a question. Let's see, what was the question? So, what about when someone lists a house for sale by owner? That means they can't advertise on Zillow or any of those websites. Do they still have to allow agents to come in and show it? Okay, so before I address this part, I'm going to address this one. Look, for sale by owner, I can advertise wherever I want. There's even an open listing. I can pay as a for sale by owner. I can pay agents if they bring buyers. There's also flat fee listings, like Zillow has an option for you to put your property there as a for sale by owner. There's for sale by owner.com. There's fsbo.com. There's so many sites out there that help. Craigslist, your advertising. So there's so many sites out there that allow you as an owner to advertise your property, right? Zillow being the most, Zillow and Trulia being the two most or heavily researched sites when it comes to real estate, would probably be your best bet in marketing your property, if anything. Okay. So, do they still have to allow agents to come in and show it? It's my house. It's for sale by owner. I don't have to do anything. Nope. Okay. No, I don't have to use realtors. But if I do show up at your house and I have a buyer, right? You'd say no just because you might have to pay me commission? Like your house has been on the market for 6, 7, 8 months as a for sale by owner. All of a sudden, I knock on your door and I say, hey, got a buyer right here. Do you want it? You just got to pay me 2, 3, 4%, whatever we agree. Does that make sense? Would you have a problem with that? Right? Now, what if the house sells for 500, but the appraisal is only 480? That means that the buyer either walks away or comes up with a difference. The buyer either walks away or comes up with a difference. Is it possible that the seller drops the price as well? Yeah, it's part of negotiations. But a mortgage company, and we'll talk about that in financing, chapter 17, but a mortgage company will not give you more than this money. They'll tell you, down payment is, let's say, $10,000, but you got to come up with the difference between sales price and purchase price. I mean, sales price and the appraisal price. So it's the $10,000 plus this difference. That's 30. Okay. Cheryl says New York's not as weird as New Jersey. I guess in certain things, yeah. Brandon says Jersey has strange laws. Anyway, so equitable title. Okay. So sorry. Got that, Brittany? All right. Like I said, tell Kieran to leave you alone so you can focus. So you don't miss minutes. Sorry, I'm being challenged by Brittany. My hours were. I'm like, nope, I'm checking them. All right. And that's not counting the amount of times that that Kieran does cameos over there, right? Because I should have cut those minutes from the hours. Just saying. There you go. Yep. All right. Here we go. Hey, Brandon. Cheryl says, nope, the opposite. New York is weirder. Sorry. You cannot claim New Jersey being weirder than New York, period. Cheryl claimed it. That's it. All right. The reason I ask is because, sometimes houses sell for more than the asking price. That means the buyer has to come up with the difference if it's a yes. So, again, we will talk about this in chapter 17. So right after appraisals, we'll have that. So 16, then it's 17, financing. And we're going to talk about how mortgage companies, they'll give you money up to the appraisal price. And depending on the type of loan, it could be either 20% of the appraisal price as a down payment. It could be 5%. It could be 3.5% of appraisal price. So yes, buyers, if they want to still buy the property, right? If they want to still buy the property, they have to come up with the difference. Absolutely. All right. So earnest money escrow, always remember, again, I wrote it already before, is the good faith deposit. Good faith deposit. Right? Now, notice that it says good faith. If it says good faith, do you think it's mandatory? It's not. It's good faith. So when you put an offer, do you have to put $1,000 with it? You have to put $5,000 with it. You have to put $10,000. Do you have to put any money with it? When you put an offer, the answer is no. You don't have to. Right? It's not mandatory. It's good faith. And why is it called good faith? Well, because you are in good faith putting an offer saying you want this house, right? And if I don't buy the house, seller, you could get immediately compensated if you want. And that's what a good faith deposit does. It's like a security deposit in a rental. It's not mandatory for you to have a security deposit. If the contract demands it, then yes. But if the contract says no security deposit, then not needed. You understand? So the security deposit is not a mandatory thing. Good faith deposit is not a mandatory thing. I agree with Ahmed right now. Sorry, I have to put this because this is like the statement of the night. Good faith should be mandatory. That everybody acts good faith. Is that your statement? Okay, just wanted to make sure because that's how I took it. Everybody should act in good faith and not taking advantage of another. But then again, we are realtors, and that's what we do. We take advantage of people and get paid. No, not wrong. Okay, wrong class. Okay. For those of you watching on YouTube, it was a joke. In fact, every 2 years here in New Jersey, and most states have a rule of this, you have to deal with 2 hours on ethics at least. Your CE credits to let you know that you have to do the best for your client, so you need to act in good faith always for your client, and that's where COLD comes in: care, obedience, accounting, loyalty, and disclosure. All right, so we just talked about the good faith. Funny, I saw this question. If you guys want to, if you have a product or service that you provide, like a side hustle or something like that, one of the ways that I find my audiences is by searching what people are asking. So I search the internet for what people are asking on Google or any other search engine, right? And one of the questions that popped up that's been trending over the past few months is, what are contract contingencies? So you guys want leads? One of the ways to get leads is to answer this question. Create a quick video, advertise to those keywords, boom, get leads. So, and by the way, I'm saying video because video attracts more than anything else right now, right? No pictures, no text, or you can do a combination of it, but video. Do a quick video explaining contract contingencies as an example. Ahmed, you have the green sauce, for instance. Find something of people looking for that type of sauce and make a video about it. Like not about the sauce, but about what people are asking as far as how to season your food. You see what I'm saying? Like questions like that. For me, in real estate, I get a lot of leads from Google. How do I do that? Marketing. What people are looking for. So again, what is a contingency? Contingency is a condition. Exactly the same. So it's a condition. Okay? Contingency is a condition. So let's say, and this is going to be real quick so we can move forward, but let's say I'm buying your house, Daniela, I'm buying your house if I get approved for this FHA mortgage. The moment there's an if, right? And that if does not happen, do I have to buy your house? No, because you agreed to the contract that way. Okay? Danielle, I'm going to buy your house if I can sell mine first. So if I don't sell mine first, do I have to buy your house? No. Danielle, I'm going to buy your house if the home inspection is satisfactory. Satisfactory to whom? To me. Right? If I check the report and I like it, good. If not, we'll negotiate a little bit more, or maybe I'll just walk away. If there's a condition. Contingency is a condition. It's an if. Got it? Any thumbs up on this? Check how simple it was to make a 30-second video explaining what a contingency is and just drag a bunch of business to your websites. All right, and I'm giving you this for free, included, like all these tips included in your course. I do accept 5% of all your gross sales. Next, where were we? Default. What is default? Breach. Breach. Just as since we're talking about videos, real quick. Ahmed, I know you have the sauce. Shanice, I know you got those health products or whatever, right? So let me ask you something. And I got Richard, I know you're a barber, so that's great. The rest of you, I'm sorry, I don't know what you do. But let me ask you something. Did you ever check on YouTube the videos of your competitors? You have? Do you know that my ads for the school run on my competitors' videos? So as soon as you search one of my competitors, I pop up there, hey, new class starting. Unethical, right? New class starting. Somebody's talking about real estate investment. Hey, new class starting. Good. You can put your videos wherever you want. So you look for somebody that's trending in the business that you're in, somebody that's trending, and you place your video right there. Meaning people are searching for that video. Let you be the first one there. First few seconds of that video is you. Okay. Do you pay for that? Well, yeah. So you pay for the ads, yeah. So placement of the ads, yeah. That's Google ads. But go through YouTube and then you say promote this video and then anyway, that's ingenious. People are like, it's the niche. People are talking about food. It's not your direct competitor, but it's a food channel. It's growing. Ahmed, for instance, it's a growing channel. Put your ad right there. Boom. We're gonna talk about food. Oh, look at the sauce. Sold. Anyway, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about because I'm sure you guys, everybody here has watched YouTube videos and there's a little ad right in the beginning in most of those videos. That's what it is. All right. So back to this. I'm advertising that sauce so much, Brandon. I'm advertising that sauce so much I haven't tried it yet. Keep on talking about Ahmed's favorite famous green sauce. Anyway, just waiting on it. So you're saying you'll come through. If you default, you breach this agreement. If you don't come through, if you don't bring that sauce as you just promised, then you have breached that agreement. Just saying. You defaulted, so I can sue you for that. Just guys, we have a bunch of witnesses. Let me show you right here. We have it in writing. He's going to bring the sauce. I don't think he's Peruvian. I'm not sure. Are you Peruvian? Ahmed? No? Okay. All right. So, not sure if the green sauce is Peruvian. It's a Peruvian green sauce with Egyptian spin. I don't know how to take that because you don't have anything circle. How do you spin? All right, next. Breach. Oh, Brandon, you got to stop advertising. You're going to have a barbecue here or something. Now, a sales contract is a bilateral contract. Do you guys remember what bilateral means? Peace? What it means? I don't know. Joel just went like this. So I don't know. Bilateral. Cheryl, help me out. If you're watching, help me out. What does bilateral mean? Joel says two sides. Could be. What else? Britney smiling like, I don't know. Sure. Bilateral. What does it mean, guys? Bilateral contract. There you go. No, but close. So let me go right here, actually. Two people have to do something. Well, if both people, so let me, Miguel, that's a great way to put it, but if the two people are on the seller side, let's say husband and wife, then the buyer side, do they have to do something? Okay, so it's not two people, it's both parties. Now, here when it says both parties, right, both parties meaning seller side and buyer side. Both parties, seller side and buyer side. Okay? People benefiting, yeah, at the end if they execute. Okay, so no. Affecting two sides, kinda, just like the benefits, because these two are pretty much the same. Both parties agree to what? Both people have to hold up their end there. Got it. Both people have to hold up their end. Yes. Got it now. So it's not the benefit, is both parties have responsibility and liability. That's what it is. So A bilateral contract is where both parties, the seller and the buyer, have to do something towards the execution of this contract. So both of them, one promises to sell, the other one promises to buy, and they have to hold up or keep their end of the bargain. Yes. Okay? Very good. Cheryl said, 2 sides. There you go. There's 2 sides of a story. Bilateral is 2 sides, yes. But both parties promise to perform. Now, what does it mean, promise to perform? Every time you see specific performance or promise to perform, perform what? Perform the terms of the contract. If the seller does not sell or if the buyer does not buy, then they are in breach of the contract and could get sued for it. In fact, if the buyer's default, then the usual remedy is they forfeit the deposit, the good faith deposit or earnest money deposit, as liquidated damages. Liquidated damages means settlement. Settlement. Liquidated damages means settlement. Like, there's $5,000 there as good faith deposit, and I, the seller, will settle for the $5,000 because you walked away, right? I'll settle for that. I won't sue you any further. I'll settle for that money. If I want to sue you for more, you cannot touch that money, buyer. You cannot touch the money, but I cannot touch it either. I'm suing you for more. And if I win, that money is credited towards the lawsuit. Okay? So, yeah, usually I do. So that's what the buyer default usually does. Now, if the contract does not provide for liquidated damages, then we can sue for damages, so monetary damages, as I was just saying, cancellation of the contract, so no effect, and specific or specific performance, meaning force you to sell or force you to buy. So for the buyer, it's the same thing. Okay. And by the way, this is for any terms of the contract. That's why cancellation is here. It's for any terms of the contract. So if we're supposed to close by November 15th, right? So that's a week from now. We are a week away, and the seller still did not get the CO, the certificate of occupancy, right? Here in Newark, where I'm at, for instance, the CO takes at least 2 weeks. If it takes at least 2 weeks, are we closing on the 15th? The answer is no. So that means that the seller is already defaulting on the terms of the contract. So the buyer can say, if we don't close by the 15th, then I'm walking away. So that's the cancellation portion that we talk about here. Being able to walk away from a contract because one of the parties breached the agreement. If the buyer already sold their home, they want to buy this home and the seller defaults, what happens? Let me go back. Okay. If the seller defaults, I can sue for specific performance, force the sale. I can sue you for damages and compensation. So if I already sold mine and now I have to go to a hotel and wait, and I got to put stuff in storage and wait, guess who's paying for it? Seller. So I can sue you for damages. That's what it is. Good? Okay. Sales contract provisions. We have primary and secondary provisions. Now, sales contracts can vary significantly in length and thoroughness. They also vary according to the type of sale transaction that they describe. Some of the varieties are residential contract, commercial, foreclosure, contract of sale, new construction, land, and exchange agreement. We'll talk about this in a different time. Every contract must include, as you guys know by now, the parties, the principal parties, consideration, and legal description of the property. Okay. The terms and so on. So I'm moving right through here. Closing, possession, title evidence, damage, destruction. So all the information about the contract. So this is what we agree to. The secondary provisions will be inspections, homeowners association disclosures, surveys, environmental hazards. So it's like this is the contingency section, right? The primary provisions is what we agree to, and then this is almost like the contingency section where we are explaining, hey, if you don't allow me to inspect, then I don't have to buy the house. If it's not satisfactory, I don't have to buy the house. Depending on the HOA, the fees and all that, I might not have to buy the house. Surveys, if something is wrong, I might not have to buy a house. If anything here, environmental and so on. So everything will be described right here. Going right through. Another disclosure that's there, and we talk about that in a chapter for disclosures, is the clue report. Now, the clue report, guys, is a report on insurance claims against the property in the past 5 years. Insurance claims in the property within the past 5 years. So, the clue report, or comprehensive loss underwriting exchange, it's much like the Carfax. It's very similar to a Carfax. Very similar to it. So it allows you to know what the damages were. In the state exam, if there's a question about the clue report, they're going to give you 2 answers. And the question will be something like, hey, which report allows you to see the past claims, the past 5 years of claims against the property? And then it gives you 4 answers. 2 of them are ridiculous. I'll tell you right now, if that's the question. 2 of the answers are ridiculous, and then 2 are very similar. One of them is going to be comprehensive. Actually, let me just right here. Same. But here is going to be insurance. And this is where they trick you. Because the question asks, which of these allows us to see, for instance, insurance claims against the property within the last 5 years? Okay, which one of these? Right? Insurance claims. Because the question is about insurance claims, we usually answer CLE, which is comprehensive loss insurance exchange. We automatically associate insurance, that's the correct answer. And no, it's not. The correct answer is underwriting exchange, or clue. So if you have no clue what to answer, pick clue. The other acronyms will not work. If you have no clue what to answer, pick clue. The other acronyms will not work. And no, they don't have acronyms there. They'll have this as an answer. They'll have comprehensive loss insurance exchange, and the other answer will be comprehensive loss underwriting exchange. But if you have no idea, clue. Okay? Are there contingency limitations, items that cannot be contingency? Well, yeah, there's obviously there's stuff that you cannot put there, or that will be not reasonable to put there. But then attorneys will handle that part. Limitate if it's something ridiculous. But most of the contingencies are mortgage, so subject to a mortgage, subject to inspection, subject to title being clear, which is normal. So normal stuff. It's not like ridiculous stuff. What will happen? If you have no idea, here's a clue. There you go. Something that sometimes happens is I'll put an offer and it's subject to my partner's approval or subject to my partner's inspection. Investors do this all the time. They put the offer just to secure something, and then they bring their partner, they bring the actual investor to do the due diligence, right? And if they don't like it, they walk away. So he gives them that little period of time to kind of secure the property with the offer, and if no good, they walk away. You got it? But that's probably the most extreme thing. Usually, again, it's It has to do with mortgage or inspections. All right, you guys already know this one as well, right? Option to buy. It's rent to own. Okay. Also similar to similar to leasing a car. You guys remember this? Right? So renting to own or option to buy is where, just like leasing a car, we lease a car, we rent the car for 3 years, we like the car, and we go back to the dealer when the lease expires and say, hey, we want to buy. We like it, we're going to keep it. Simple. So the house is the same thing. I'm going to live in the house, I'm going to check the neighborhood, check the house itself. If I like it, 3 years later, or whatever time period we agree, then I buy the property, right? We already talked about this. So I'm going to skip right through. The only thing I want you to focus on is this right here. The optionee, so the tenant, has no obligation to purchase, but the seller must perform. So this is a unilateral agreement. Just like the car, remember, similar to a car. I lease the car for 3 years. At the end, I have options. I either buy, or I trade it for another, or just give it up altogether. These are the options. Do I have to buy? No. But the seller must sell. 3 years later, whatever the term is, the seller has to perform. That's why it's a unilateral contract. If I say yes to buying, you have to perform. Simple. You guys good? Great. Cover this. Common provisions, covered all this. Equitable interest, we talked about it. All right, contract for deeds. Now in this one, contract for deeds, it's also called installment sale contract, and it's similar to car financing. Okay, so in this one, it's similar to car financing because a contract for deed is where the seller becomes the bank. So you're financing from the seller. You pay the seller in installments. It's different from leasing a car because leasing a car, you're renting. When you finance a car, you're buying. So it's different. In the lease of the car, there's no interest attached to it, right? But in financing a car, there's interest attached to it. Here is the same thing. A lease with option to buy is a rental, and later on you can purchase. Okay? Contract for deed is a purchase, but you only get the title or the deed at the end, just like car financing. You only get the title at the end. So you get to use the property, similar to rent to own. You get to use the property, maintain the property. You're responsible for taxes and insurance, just like in the financing a car, but you only get the title at the end. You only get the deed at the end. So it's a contract for deed. All right? You don't get the deed right away. You don't get legal title right away. If you don't get legal title right away, what type of title do we get? There's two types of titles. It's either legal title, where our name is on the deed, or, let me know in the chat, what's the other one? What's the other one? Let me know. There's legal title, or if I have money into it. If I have money into it, what do I have? Equitable title, right? Perfect. Equitable title. Very good, because there's money or value into the property. Equitable title, and that's what you guys have when you buy a car. Equitable title. It's not yours yet, 100%, but you have ownership of it as long as you pay, maintain the car. House is the same. All right. So again, in the contract for deed, also called land contract or installment sales contract, at the end of whatever the period is, the buyer pays the vendor the full purchase price, and the vendor deeds legal title at the end of that period. Deeds legal title, so only at the end. Okay, and these are the difference for both. Hypothecation, it does not give. So Miguel, you're asking about hypothecation. Again, we'll talk about that in finance in chapter 17. But hypothecation does not give title to the mortgage company. Hypothecation is with a financing agency. Does not give title. With hypothecation, I own the property, but I give up the house, a right or a benefit to the house, to the bank. So it's a little different. Hypothecation is for the loan itself. Okay. So in this scenario, Miguel, in this scenario, in the contract for deed, the seller puts a mortgage on the property, and the mortgage itself is the hypothecation. Everybody gets equitable title? If everybody gets it, the moment I put $1 into the property, I have equity. The moment I put effort into the property, I go there and I put work into the property, I have equitable title. I'm owed something. There's value in the property that's owed to me. That's what it is. Got it? Okay, talked about this. So at default, we talk about these as well. And that is it for this chapter. When you buy cash, how do you call it? Cash purchase. You have full equity. Let me address this real quick. Title. There's legal, equitable. Okay. In this one, you get the deed. In this one, there's value. So if you bought it cash, Joel, then you got the deed. You have a legal title. And on top of it, you have equity. It's different. Equity, okay, it's not the same as equitable. Equity is value that the property has, right? Value that the property has. Equitable title is value that you have in the property. So money you put in the property, okay, or work that you put in the property. You got it? So title is who owns or who does not own the property. Legal title, I own the property. Equitable title, I have an interest or a claim in the property. Got it? Okay. This was not in your book, Kieran. Added stuff. All right, Brittany is asking a question, or Kieran is asking a question. Typing. Typing. Okay. How do you have an interest but no equity? All right, Miguel, thank you. So how do you have interest but no equity? So wish you luck. You have the test tomorrow. Miguel? Sorry. Okay, cool. Well, good luck. Let me know the outcome. I know you got this. If Kieran could, no, I'm just kidding. You got it. Do it. All right. So, how do you have interest but no equity? So here's the thing. That's what I'm trying to explain. Equity is the value that the house has. The house has equity, right? Because a house is worth $500,000. If you owe 200, right, you have $300,000 worth of equity. Okay. Now, title or equitable title is a little different. Equitable title is I put the property under contract. So again, the moment I sign a contract to buy your house, Brittany, the moment I put a contract to buy your house, I have equitable title because I put consideration. I put $1, I put $100 or whatever. So I put money into the property. I have equitable value in your property. And that's what gives me the right to kind of own or control the property, like a mortgage company. A mortgage company has equitable title. They do not own the property, but they have an interest in the property that if you don't pay, what can they do? Take it away from you, right? So they have equitable title, not legal title. They do not own the property, you do. But they have value in the property because they give you a loan. Does that make sense? So every time somebody puts work, money, or time and effort into the property, they have equitable title. Now the property might have equity. These are separate things. Equitable or equity simply means value. Value in the property. Not a title, it's value. Okay? So in this scenario, if I have a deed, that means the property is mine 100%, transferred to me 100%. I have legal title to the property, okay? If I put money into it or consideration into it, I have equitable title. Title means rights, benefits, or interest in the property. Rights, benefits, or interest in the property. Equity is value of the house. It's the value of the house has equity. The house has equity. It's not a title. It's the value of the house. Two different words, two different meanings, but equity and equitable come from the same meaning. Both of these means value. It's just that one is the value of the house and the other is a value in title, in ownership, in interest, in benefits. Okay, so two separate things. Are they the same type to purchase or, huh? I lost you there. Same type of purchase of contract. So again, let me just show this again real quick. The word equity means value. By itself means value. Value of what? Of the property, of the house. So if you buy a car and you drive off the lot, you lose equity because it loses value. It appreciates, right? If it appreciates, it increases your equity in the property itself, just like the phone, right? The phone, when you buy it over the years, anything that's usable like this, over the years, it loses value, right? So that's value of the property, that's equity. They have base in the same sentence, right? But if I put an offer on the property or if I do work in the property and you don't pay me, I can now claim the property. I can take you to court. It gives me equitable title. You got it? So equity and equitable both mean value. One is the value of the property and the other one is the value in terms of interest in the property. So I get an investor buying a property with me. What would I give them to establish their legal equity? Okay, so a little loss here. So there's no legal equity. Okay, there's no legal equity. There's legal title or ownership. That means your name is on the deed. So, John Smith owns. That's legal title. Okay? What do I mean property with you? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Property with you. Okay? Brittany, you're so manly right now. If you co-own, that means your names are on the deed, right? Is that what you're saying? Your names are on the deed? If you co-own, your names are on the deed. That means you have legal title. Okay? They have legal title to the property if your name is on the deed. Okay? Simple. Simple, that's it. If their name is not on the deed, then they're like a silent partner. They have equitable value. Hold on. They have equitable value. They have equitable title, so they can claim the property. They don't have equity, they have value in the property. One thing is title, which is ownership or interest in the property. That's what this is. The house itself grows equity over time. Equitable title has no value direct, like the number. There's no direct number because that value can grow or decrease over time depending on the equity that the house has, the value that the house has. Okay? Here it just says, I'm your partner, I can claim something. What can I claim? Depends on the value of the property. Okay? So equitable title simply means I put something into it and I'm entitled to claim it. That's it. So if we partner up, Kieran, if we partner up as an example, right? And I say, hey, I'm buying, you're putting up the money. If my name goes on the deed by itself, I have legal title. If your name just shows up in some type of arrangement, like a financing, you have equitable title on the property. That's it. Equitable title allows you that if I don't pay you, Kieran, allows you to foreclose on me. And how much can you recover? Whatever money you put in. You got it? If the property loses value, loses equity, you are at the risk of not being able to recover the money. Two separate things. You got it? Did everybody get it? Raise your thumbs right there if you got it. Great, great, great. Perfect. All right, cool. So with that being said, I'm going to give you guys a break. We're done with the chapter. Technically, I'm saying I need a break, okay? After that one. Now everybody's thinking about wholesaling. Yes, that's pretty much what I just said. All right, so it's 7:16, guys. Getting to 7:17. 7:25, we're going to be back, okay? 7:25, we are back. If you're watching on YouTube, we're going to be back in a few minutes in a different stream, okay? Be right back.